Joining me now to unpack what's been making news and what will make news coming forward is former Labor Minister Stephen Conroy. Stephen, thanks for joining me on Bernardi. I really appreciate it. Let's kick it off with this. We're seeing an absolute bloodbath in the property market right now. Apparently, Australian house prices have fallen by 8.4% since May of last year. People who are hoping to benefit from the housing boom now look like losing hundreds of thousands of dollars. Mate, a lot of Aussies have got all of their money tied up in property. What should government do to prevent a cataclysmic failure of the property market?
Well, I mean, firstly, you've got to put this squarely at the door of the Reserve Bank and the Reserve Bank Governor. He's got it wrong last year, he's got it wrong this year, and he looks like he's talking about putting up interest rates again over the next couple of months. And this is just a complete debacle that's squarely at his feet. He's up for reappointment soon. I think he personally should resign. I've called for him to resign over his botched urgings of Australians to take out loans based on low interest rates that he told them they would have in place till 2024. The economic modelling used by the Reserve Bank has been clearly flawed. They won't accept that. They won't acknowledge that. And they certainly haven't said sorry for the fact that they've got their modelling completely incorrect. And there's a whole range of economists around the world who are now saying, and were warning at the time, are now pointing to this debacle that's being caused, not just in the property market, but across the whole economy. I mean, the Reserve Bank Governor and his friends around the world are pushing the world economy towards a recession. I don't think we'll get there in this country, but he's giving it a red-hot go if he puts up interest rates again over the next couple of months.
It seems like that, doesn't it? Because they did promise us that interest rates would remain low. It was 0.1% was the official cash rate for 3 years. A lot of people then priced assets. They banked on investments. They thought, we can predict the future here because they've given us that assurance. They've invested. Now a lot of people are underwater. There's not much they can do about it, and it's not like they can walk away from loans like they can in America. Aussies are nursing big losses here. There's not much hope for recompense, is there?
Well, I mean, the Reserve Bank have just got to accept that they've got their modelling wrong. This has been inflation, not caused by the sort of 1970s and 80s wage price demand effects. It's actually been caused by shortages caused by COVID in China, the war in the Ukraine, floods that have driven up grocery prices in Australia because of shortages of, vegetables, etc. And the Reserve Bank have acted as if it's all been caused by some incredible demand-side problem. Increasingly, it's obvious that this has been a supply-side problem. So they've got to not put up interest rates. So does that mean you think the interest rates, couple of months?
Interest rates are, so interest rates shouldn't be going up because it's not going to affect the fact that we haven't got enough of the widgets that we have here anyway. It's just going to make them unaffordable for people that...
Vladimir Putin doesn't care if the governor... Yeah, because Vladimir Putin doesn't care if the Reserve Bank Governor of Australia puts up interest rates because he's caused an energy crisis around the world. It's going to have no impact whatsoever. China's COVID policies could not care less. Xi did not care what the Australian Reserve Bank Governor did because he stuffed up the supply chain for most of the industrial world. And certainly the floods think the Reserve Bank Governor is completely irrelevant. Yet that's the basis on which he's been slamming ordinary Australians. He told them it'd be fine, then he overreacted.
They're actually making it harder.
Absolutely. They are driving Australians to the wall.
And it's not going to do anything, make any difference. That's right. Hey, I got to move on because there's a lot of stuff I want to get through.
Absolutely right, Cory.
Yep. All right. There's a report and recommendations that are coming down very soon about bullying allegations against a Palaszczuk government backbencher, Jim Madden. The Queensland ALP internal investigation looked into reports he bullied a female electorate officer. Right, I want to park that. I've heard these sorts of claims on both sides of politics, so I'm not going to say Labor, Liberal, tit for tat or anything else. I want to get to why are these sorts of claims popping up all the time now? What constitutes bullying these days? To me, it seems that some people are just making unnecessary claims. It's no reflection on this one. It's just a means of trying to say, I don't like my work anymore, or I don't like the fact that you told me I have to do my work. I'm calling you a bully.
Well, I think it's right to not, make any reflection whatsoever on the situation in Queensland. Everybody is entitled to, have a safe working environment. That's the most fundamental thing. But yes, there's certainly been a spike in these things. Now, whether politicians today are worse behaved than they were in the past, I'm not in a position to make judgment. But I mean, you just got to look at a case, like, for instance, one we can talk about because it's been settled in the courts, and that was the case against Jackie Lambie. I mean, her former staff made all sorts of allegations, accusations against her. This went right through the court processes and got tossed out, and costs were awarded against the staffers. Clearly there was a falling out. Clearly there was issues that weren't of the substance that was claimed, and the courts ultimately dealt with that, and they dealt with it severely in terms of the staffers who had, I think, costs awarded against them.
All right, let's jump out of the political realm then on that same topic, right? Because people like Lambie, as a senator, would have her costs met by the Commonwealth, and the staffers ultimately have to pick them up. But as an employer, if you are simply telling someone, what their job expectations are and managing their performance, if you have to fight a bullying claim, it comes at a great personal expense to you, even if it's frivolous. This is the frustration for many out there in the private market, Stephen.
Well, look, I'm not sure when you say a great personal expense to them. I mean, in most of these cases that you're referring to, the business will pick up the cost. Now, that's not to say there isn't a cost, but it's not a cost to the individual employer. It comes out of the business, the profits.
I'm referring to business owners.
Whatever that process is. Yeah, to business owners, but the business itself will be picking up the tab for the owner because that's the process that would be involved in. But
being pernickety.
It's clearly justified. Well, look, I mean, you're drawing a wide assertion without putting any significant facts forward. The fact that people are more willing to stand up for their rights and not be mistreated, that's a positive thing. But where things are, abused, as has happened, and there are cases that go all the way, and the employees are found to, as in the case we've already talked about, not to have had any substance to their claim. Well, I mean, clearly the court system decides that ultimately. It's not for you or I to make a judgment about that. The laws are the laws, and you hope both parties abide by the laws. And ultimately, it might be a painful process along the way, but you hope that the courts settle them fairly.
Yeah. The problem is, I guess I'm saying this process can sometimes be the punishment. Let's move along to The Voice. I expect you and I won't agree on this one. It's been a difficult week for The Voice. We've had Australia Day, you've had this violence and stuff in Alice Springs. I detect there's a shifting of support. People are going, hang on, is this a really good idea? Do you still think it stands a chance of getting up?
Well, I think it's getting a little bit harder. I think that the sort of radical fringe like Lydia Thorpe from the Greens is essentially, she'll keep pretending and playing ducks and drakes. She's essentially undermining the case for The Voice. You've had Gary Foley also spoke at a rally this week where he also told people to vote no, and increasingly there is an undermining on the left of the Voice campaign. So I think it's becoming harder for the government to win this vote. I still think we've got a fair way to go. We've got a lot of debate still to happen, but I think it has been a tough week when tens of thousands of Australians turn up to express their point of view at rallies, and they're told to vote no by prominent activists at the fringes. So that message, I think, that was pushed out this week, I think will go some way to undermining support across the country. So I think that the government are going to have to redouble their efforts, and the supporters of The Voice are going to have to work a bit harder because of people like Lydia Thorpe.
All right, let me get your opinion on this. There was a twist on The Voice this evening. Warren Mundine, he's the leader of the No campaign. He's now pushing for recognition of migrants as well as Indigenous people. It's going to run on this slogan of recognise a better way. Now, to me, when I read this, I thought, what are they doing? They're confusing what I thought was a very effective message, and I'm not sure what they're trying to get out of it except to maybe convince people there's an injustice here, which I think there is. What's your take on this decision?
Yeah, look, I did see that suggestion, and I'm a bit like you. I'm confused. The case that's being made by Peter Dutton and others for more detail is a very straightforward case, a very simple case. Warren Mundine, a serial political loser. You know, he's a refugee and a rat from the Labor Party.
Oh, that's so...
Scott
that's
Morrison
so...
parachuted him into his seat. No, I'm sorry. The facts are the facts. I mean, Warren Mundine's come to my house. Warren Mundine has come to my house. I've spent time with Warren Mundine.
So what?
He was a committed Labor man.
Having a talk about a campaign, you can leave your personal grievances somewhere else. Come on, let's just...
That's not personal grievances, it's just an observation of fact. But the fundamental issue is that he's just got poor political judgment. And if he is committed to defeating it, as he says he is, then I think that this trying to muddy the waters by drawing all these other things in actually muddies the waters on the no case, not on the yes case. So I think he's just displaying his customary lack of political judgment. The no case has been getting a fair run with a very simple message, and Warren Mundine's just gone wandering in and is muddying the waters of those who are opposed to it. But it's no surprise to me.
Yeah, well, we'll see where it leads and what happens. There was so much more to discuss, and unfortunately, Stephen Conroy, I am out of time. But thank you for sharing a bit of your Sunday night with the viewers on Bernardi. You enjoy your week.